Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are crime dramas. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Poker Face, Season 2, Episode 4. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. I think this might be the weirdest episode of the show so far. It's a bit of an acid trip, which is ironic considering the literal acid trip episode is next episode. I know that because I accidentally watched the episodes out of order. Already went through that conversation before, but yeah, so it's just interesting. It's just a weird episode. So we're picking up, it's so interesting that they did the previously on, especially considering I guess because it's like technically that arc of Charlie's journey is done. So it's like, okay, so we're moving on to the next thing. She's picking a random spot. This is our introduction to Steve Buscemi as Good Buddy. Once again, I thought episode 5 was our introduction to him because once again, I watched everything out of order. But it's interesting to know, all right, so he stays. It's probably not going to be until the end of the season that we actually get to see him. But because I was like, oh, interesting. Because I thought when I was watching episode 5, I was like, that's weird. You get Steve Buscemi and he's just a voice over the radio. It's like, most likely he's going to stay a voice over the radio for the entire season because he's probably going to be her traveling companion in a lot of ways. And it probably won't be until the end of the season. Now, the question is, will he become a murder victim or will he be a killer? I think it'd be more gut-wrenching and sad if he ends up being a victim, because that's going to be sad, because that's going to be like another, well, I was about to say be another time because it'd be the Natalie of it all over again. But then it's like, once again, more often than not, Charlie becomes friends with the victims in the respective cases. So, it sadly would kind of fit, life being the way it is. But anyway, he's the one to kind of put things in perspective for her, kind of saying like life isn't about the destination, that life is life is a highway. We're going to ride it all night long. But yeah, he gave her that perspective on things, and for her it's just kind of like, all right, kind of take life as it is, because she was so busy trying to find that next destination, like where am I going to settle down, but she can't pick, and she kind of felt a little directionless, and he kind of helped find her a direction. So she's at this animal sanctuary to some extent, which they're kind of all about the full. Oh, actually, I have to stop myself because obviously that's the second half of the episode. I should be starting with the beginning of the episode where we get introduced to Fran, played by Gabby Hoffman. I looked into her filmography. I don't think I've seen anything she's been in. I think this might be my introduction to her. I didn't see anything I recognized her from, but either way, she's just a good old cop. That people rely on, and she gets voted for what is essentially Florida's version of the best cop of the year. And her boss is kind of like, yeah, I kind of want you to do this because obviously he's like, people are constantly doing the Florida man thing, this and that. It's like, it is funny that Florida is the only one that has that stigma to it. It's just that you have a whole subgenre of people in Florida. It's like, oh, that's Florida man. Florida man did X, Y, and Z. So it's like, oh, I want a little rebranding for Florida. I want to put some more positivity about hey, Florida ain't just crazy. Florida's good and awesome too. So she, takes her to the award show where I learned a term I'd never heard of before, pig porkers, which I was like, that has to be a real thing. Because I'm wondering, it's meant to probably be a groupie, but obviously when I think of it, I associate it with the term lot lizard, but lot lizards aren't groupies, not unless they're trucker groupies, but I just thought they were just ladies of the night that peruse stations where truck drivers are. I thought that was it, but I guess maybe lot lizards are meant to be no, I'm a fan of truck drivers, but I'd assume not. I'd assume it's the former rather than the latter. But pig porker is interesting. And I love Fern looking at her boss, and he's like, I heard the term. That's something I've heard. But obviously, she is in competition with a whole bunch of other cops who are getting awarded and recognized for their ambitions. And then she loses to Joseph, played by Kumail Nanjiani, and he's got his gator Daisy, and he's like, oh, this is so amazing. Thank you, guys. I love Daisy, and I love being a cop. What was it, 6 years later, I was like, oh wow, that's an interesting setup, that this has been a thing in the making, this particular murder, which I was like, technically some of these cases, not all of them, they're a little more recently like premeditated versus like this far in advance premeditated. It's kind of to make the argument like it's not like Fran has been sitting on this plan for the entire time, but it's just interesting to have like that like setup of like, oh, this has kind of been 6 years in the make. It's 6 years of build up leading to the murder, which is just interesting. But either way, Fran has become obsessed with the award because even though she was kind of very flippant about it first, now all she can do is be consumed by it. And it's like, I get it. Like, at first you want to be like very blasé about it, but then it kind of gets to you. It's like when you lose over and over again, but you're like, no, like there's something inside of Fran that needs that validation, and losing the award to him, Joseph, over and over again, which seemed like he was a normal cop, but then like it seems like he leans into that like blonde hair aesthetic and leaning into being Gator Joe, which I'm like, immediately I'm like, the blonde hair and everything, I'm like, it's supposed to be like Joe Exotic, right? I say that as someone who knows next to nothing about Tiger King. I'm aware, I know the names Joe Exotic and I know Carol Baskins. That's all I really know. It's one of those things, like, I'm not a documentary guy, so I've never like watched a documentary about it. So I was one of those people I'm one of the few people that never like went all in on that during the pandemic. And I know they've done like movie adaptations, one or two of that story, but either way, but I just, the blonde hair and everything made me go like, I mean, it could just be stereotypical Florida thing, but I also feel like the Gator Joe of it all makes go like, it's got to be Joe Exotic, right? Also, side note, I love that the moment like the award show is hosted by Matt Passmore, and I was like, hey, it's that guy, and he's like, hey, I'm from the hit TV show The Glades, which I was wondering, I'm like, oh, that's funny you would say that, but once again, I didn't realize the show wasn't, this episode in the beginning wasn't set present day initially until we get the time skip, because I was like, oh, that means like when he made that comment, the TV show was still on air, because I know I've actually watched Joe and I like the show. I don't think I ever finished watching it. I believe it got canceled after its third season, but because it's one of the few like A&E like scripted shows. Because I know like Longmire was like that until it got canceled and moved to Netflix for its next 3 seasons. But anyway, tangents and all that aside, I was like, oh, that's funny. Also, I did not know that actor was Australian. He might have been in other stuff that I've seen before. I had to look it up because I was like, he has an accent. I was like, yeah, he definitely put on a really convincing did a really good American accent for the show. But anyway, I was like, oh man, that's fascinating. I was like, that's funny. Once again, that's just an interesting thing of just like an actor playing themselves, of like referencing the TV show that they were in, because I just thought that was kind of a nice little wink and nod. I thought that was funny. But either way, going back to it, Fran like kind of like starts going a little crazy, and even her boss is like, you're a good cop, you don't need the validation. I actually kind of think it's kind of bad for your mental health. I don't think you should be going to this award show. But she gets her hair done and she's ready. It's sad too, because like Rusty obviously really likes her from Animal Control, but it's like, I love that table is like full of weapons and stuff. I'm like, wait, why do you really have weapons here? You have a pile of coke, I get, or meth. I guess it's just like, I guess it's almost like a drug bust thing of like, yeah, like this is what we busted and confiscated and we're kind of showcasing. I'm like, that's all kinds of effed up. Then you have a whole bunch of cops getting drunk. It's a mess of a situation. But yeah, Fran learns that she is not going to win this competition. She's going to lose for the 7th year in a row, and once again, subverting your expectations. She's got the trophy in her hand, but rather than attacking him, she puts it down. I think that's happened another time in a case where it seems like, a crime of passion moment where she's like got caught up in the heat of the moment and attack. But like, I think I can't remember off the top of my head, but there was another case where like the person seemed like they could go down this route, but they ended up not, and ended up finding another means of killing the person later on. I just can't remember which one it was off the top of my head. It doesn't help that Joe kind of rubbed it in her face, being initially calling her crybaby, but like, oh, Fran, I didn't realize it was you. Oh, did I win again? Like, oh, man, that's crazy. And kind of rubbed it in her face, kind of like a douchebag. But then Fran gets the idea of like, oh, like he gives this laxative to his gator. What if I give it to him? Got a number from Rusty on how much would be a small enough dose. She gives it to Joe. He's going to shit himself, but the problem is he ends up dying because the napkin was upside down and she gave him the wrong dosage and killed him. So what does Fran do? At first, I was once again, my brain being the way it is, before we even got into the meat of it, I was like, oh, is it going to be a thing of friend? It's going to be, I was like, is it going to be a twist where friend's going to think she killed him, but she didn't? And in actuality, what's going to end up happening is you happen to like poison him at the same time someone else killed him. I thought that was the deal until the reveal of, oh, never mind, you just gave him the wrong dosage. So how do you dispose of his body instead of calling anybody, turning yourself in? Hey, I'm going to get Daisy to eat Joe. But Daisy wouldn't, because Daisy isn't just like, isn't like that. Yes, Daisy loves Oreos, but Daisy isn't all about human flesh until Daisy gets hopped up on meth. I was like, wow, you're feeding a alligator meth. Okay, and then proceeds to devour his body, and that's where things kind of end up. Then we cut back to Charlie. She's working at the sanctuary, as I was saying, and the guy, Hutch, which it seemed like she was kind of vibing with Hutch, but it almost felt like a repeat of the mountain dude, that mountain guy that she was working with in episode 9. It kind of felt like that, where it's just like, I'm kind of swept up in the moment, and then all of a sudden you're stuck there sometime later and you're like, I hate this mountain, I need to get money so I can get the hell out of here. So it kind of felt like it had that same energy. I thought it would have been the issue because one of the women there, because they're very like this hippie-ish like group, that like one of the women obviously was super into Hutch, and I thought that would have been an issue. Turned out it wasn't. But yeah, they bring Charlie into the fold because she's looking for a purpose, and they're like, hey, we want to go rescue this. We rescue animals, and we're trying to rescue Daisy from Joe because of all the stuff he ends up giving Daisy. So you need to sneak into this convention and, sneak Daisy out. But sadly, Charlie didn't know going into it, wait, this is a cop convention. It's a cop convention. And they're like, how did you not figure that out? Like, the name of it means this. And she's like, that's not super clear. So it's like, cool. You're not like a wanted criminal or anything, but it's still like, I'm about to do something super illegal at the worst possible place because this place is literally filled to the gills with real cops. So, but then she goes to get Daisy, but it's like, well, the cage has no wheels. Well, what do we do? How do we handle this situation? I guess it does make you wonder, how did they get Daisy there? But I guess like maybe they walked Daisy into the cage that was already there, and maybe they had another cage. Who knows? It's kind of a moot point because just like, it doesn't help them. I was also wondering about why the cage was tied by that little thing, and we find out, oh, it's because Charlie cut the lock and then put that on so she could go get some Oreos, but by the time she came back, Fred had already done what she did. I also love that it's also because if Charlie maybe had gotten that, had a better, crisper dollar bill, because that was the most raggedy dollar bill I've ever seen, but the machine wouldn't take it, so she had to just go to the storage area, grab a Oreo, but by the time she got back, Fran had already done what she'd done, and now, like, everyone wants to kill the gator. And I love the stereotypical thing of... you're a loose cannon. No, you're a loose cannon. And they're all pointing to each other. I was like, I love this stupid bit. It's amazing. And Charlie's trying to be the voice of reason. And honestly, it should be Rusty's call because he's animal control. This should be his jurisdiction, but no one wants to listen to him because they're like, it's Rusty from Animal. Who cares? Let's go in there, guns a-blazing. But the crocodile tasted human blood. It needs to be put down. Charlie doesn't like that, even though the others are telling her to get out of there because it's, the thing that they keep repeating, which is like the title of the episode. It's tasted human blood, so it's kind of a goner. Even the people who are trying to rescue Daisy are like, Daisy's a lost cause. She's tasted human blood. But, Charlie had a moment with Daisy where it's like, I looked into her eyes, and the whole spiel that Hutch had said of like, right, you'll see that the origin is the... what was it? The origin is the destination is the origin or some shit like that. It's a very like psychedelic thing. And she has this like psychedelic moment like, oh my God, we connected. I know Daisy's not the murderer. There's something else here. Saw the literal cookie crumbs from the Oreos. And it's like, right, found the thing that she used to tie the cage. And I love that she was like, oh yeah, the bread twisted. He's like, what are you talking about? She's like, the thing from bread. He's like, I don't know. I've never had bread. She's like, wait, you've never had bread? And he's like, no, never once. And she's just like, huh. Once again, I love that she takes a beat to be like, really? Never had bread? That's crazy. But yeah, these people who claim to be about that cause are not all about it when the time comes, because they're like, this thing's a lost cause, which maybe they have the right perspective in this situation. I don't know. I'm sure PETA would still be like, no, you got to protect the animal. I'm actually curious, like, where is PETA's stances on like animals that kill people? Like, would they still be like, oh, you got to protect the animal, or would they be okay with like? I've never actually thought about that. Like, and people who fight for animal rights and stuff like that, like, how do they feel about this particular situation? Granted, it's like, well, Daisy isn't the murderer. If Daisy ate a guy's dead body, sure, but she didn't murder the guy. She got hopped up on drugs. So, but it's up to Charlie alone, because it's like, right, this group isn't going to help me. I guess I got to prove Daisy's innocence on my own. So she gets help from Rusty, which I even love. She's like, man, how often like do you see like a crocodile or an alligator like hopped up on drugs? And he's just like, every week. You're like, well, she's like, really? He's like, it's Florida. It's like, wow, it always comes back to that. I even love later on when everyone gets locked and loaded, and she's like, really, even you, Rusty? He's like, sorry, Charlie, but she's tasted human blood. Gotta get that. Let's go. What did he say? We gotta ice that bitch or something like that. I'm like, why are you saying the most like cliche like 80s action line of we gotta ice this bitch or something like that? 80s or probably more like a 90s or early 2000 like action hero line or whatever. Ironically enough, Charlie ends up working with Fran to the get Daisy out of there, because Fran learned that Joe had recording sunglasses on, because it's like, wait, how did he didn't have a phone out? Which, for one, that's super sucky of Joe to like upload that to like TikTok. I was like, that's super messed up. Like humiliating someone like that and making it into a TikTok. I was like, oh, that's super messed up. But then it's like, oh, what else did he record on that footage? So I need to go retrieve those sunglasses. But Daisy ate them, and it's like, don't worry, because she's like, oh, those are I want to be able to return those to Joe's mom. It's like, don't worry, once we capture that thing, we'll slice it open. Obviously it will go into evidence afterwards, but we'll give those back to Joe's mom, don't you worry. So it's time to either shit or get off the shitter, friend. It's like, Jesus, these like cliche one-liners. It's just I love it. I love how stupid it is. But once again, Fran and Charlie work together to get Daisy out of there, and it's successful. But the problem is, you don't know that you're around a human lie detector. And so certain things don't line up, when it's like, oh, you were so certain that Joe had drawn the lights. It was like, well, how would you know that? Like, you were telling the truth. It wasn't like just a guess. It's like, you kind of knew that for a fact. You kind of clean it up by being like, I bet. And it's like, oh, you got these energy drinks, which I guess are supposed to be a parody because they're like 2-hour energy drinks or something like that. Meant to be like a parody on 5-hour energy, I'm sure. But it's like, oh yeah, I love those things. It's like bullshit. It's like, well, you're right, they're disgusting. So, haha. It's like, yeah, Charlie knows like something's up. The timing is interesting, even though I'm getting to this late. It reminds me of episode 6 of season 2 of The Last of Us. No spoilers if you haven't seen it or you haven't caught up or whatever. But I was just like, it kind of gave me that same energy where like Charlie was walking away and was just like, I know something's fishy here, and Fran's doing what she does. Um, Obviously Fran was ready to kill Daisy because it's like, yo, I have to kill you to kind of cover up my crime yet again. And Charlie stops her and kind of pieces it all together like, oh, you did this and this. And Fran's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I just wanted to embarrass him, and things kind of went out of hand and stuff like that. It's like, you are a good cop. And it's like, I get it, because I thought you were one of the good ones. She's like, I am a good cop, I made a mistake, a stupid mistake. But I think she was going to go after Charlie, but then like Daisy tripped her up and was about to eat her, but then Charlie stopped her and is like, look her in the eyes, look Daisy in the eyes. And they had the same moment in connection. And Friend's like, okay, wow, thank you for stopping me. Even though Charlie was like, actually, I was talking to Daisy, but I'm glad you were able to get something from it too. So it's like, hey, I'm going to turn myself in. I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, what the fuck is this episode? She's just going to be like, yeah, I'm going to turn myself in. Wow, you are the only person that's ever done that in this entire show, that's ever been like, oh, I'm going to turn myself in. And so they let Daisy go after she shit out the sunglasses. Fran brought it to her boss, and her boss was like, Fran, what do you want me to do with this? I cannot bring this into a judge. This is the most Florida man shit I have ever heard. He's like, I'm not going to bring this in front of a judge because that's going to just be like more Florida man propaganda used against this state. So no, you're a good person. But Fran's like, no, I need to like find a way to help out my community and people. You know, I got to find a better way for it, and turns a badge and gun. And I was like, wow, good on you, Fran. And she's working at that sanctuary place with Hutch and them. And it's like, hey, you know, you keep this up, you might be employee of the month. And you go like, oh, shit. And you see that look in her eyes, that need for validation. You're like, well, poor friend. It's like, for whatever reason, she has that need for validation, and this is going to blow up. Hopefully it doesn't turn into another murder situation, but it's like, hey, you're the first person that kind of got away with murder without any repercussions, you know? Because you're like, hey, I learned something from this. You accidentally killed the guy, but you kind of got away with it because you covered up the crime. But yeah, that's fascinating. And then, you know, once again, the cycle repeating itself at the end there. So yeah, I love that Charlie's takeaway from all of this was like, right, I do feel kind of good. Like, you know, I don't know where the next place is going to take me, but I'm going down the highway thanks to you, good buddy, as well as an alligator, because she filled him in on everything. He's like, wow, that's crazy as hell that happened to you. But then she's like, oh, hey, Daisy. And she sees Daisy and she's like, taste of human blood. You're coming towards me. Well, it was nice seeing you, Daisy. All that to fight and to save Daisy. Now, once again, the irony being like, you were calling out that group for being like, oh, we got to put her down because she killed someone. She's tasted human blood. And you were like, no, we got free Daisy. And now you're scared of Daisy. So I'm sure Daisy's going to be an issue going forward because she will be a little like, hey, I've tasted human blood now. So she probably, sad thing is, she probably will be put down at some point in time. The question is, will she attack or kill someone in the process? I mean, hopefully, she tasted human blood now, but maybe it won't come to it. You know, I assume once you've tasted human blood, there's no getting out of that. There's no getting away from that. That's just forever ingrained in Daisy now. But overall, like I said, just a weird fucking episode, and I loved it. So, I'm excited to see where the next episode takes us. But by that, I mean episode 6, because I will reiterate it again. I just, because I think it's just funny. I've already watched episode 5, so it's just a matter of editing it together and uploading it. So yeah, but yeah, I can't wait to see what happens in episode 6. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.